Hello, and welcome to Aging Out Loud, the official podcast of NYC Aging. I'm your host, Lorraine Cortés-Vázquez, Commissioner of the New York City Department for the Aging. This is where we talk about the real experiences of growing older in New York City, without the stereotypes, without the limits, and without whispering the word aging. Today, my guest is someone who's dedicated a big part of his career to redefining aging services in New York City. Bill Dionne is a longtime executive director of Carter Burden. He has led the organization since 1991, expanding its reach from one single site to a network serving thousands of older adults across the city. Under his leadership, Carter Burden has become a trusted provider of programs that promote respect, inclusion, and connection. Most recently, the Carter Burden program received the Commissary Kitchen. Many of you are going to think of, what's a Commissary Kitchen? Is that a new Army installation at Carter Burden? No, it was the vision that much of our food was coming from commercial caterers who may not have had a vision or a strong connection to aging New York and to older adults. And so what we wanted to do was to create an environment and kitchens that knew the older adult, that were able to provide meals every day for older adults, and then who can expand that capacity and share it with other centers who did not have that capacity. So that was what we call the Commissary Kitchen. So welcome, Bill, to Aging Out Loud.
Thank you. It is so great to be here. And it's very fun for me, Lorraine, hearing, some people would have this impression that it's about military, where it's, oh my God, it's the exact opposite. It gives us more options and greater diversity. So it's not, oh my God, you're 80, so you're going to eat this one thing because you're 80. 80, so what? So what? It means you're going to want any number of things. There's not a one answer for 80. And what this kitchen does for us is it offers us that opportunity to try different things.
And to give choice.
Lots and lots of choice, which is something that you mentioned my decades in this service. When I started in aging, I remember the very first meal I saw at the senior center that we had taken over at the time, senior center, now adult center. And you know what it was? It was tater tots and hot dogs.
Oh
is a great reaction. But remember,
all I was thinking was salt.
Salt and canned string beans. I forgot to mention that. Talk about more salt. But the importance was, at the time, our belief was, we have to feed people. But it wasn't, we have to feed people and make sure they're eating healthy choices. Oh my God, what the Commissary Kitchen does for us with regards to choices and being able to say, this is the meal we have today. How can we serve you? And what I mean by that, I hope you don't mind that I'm...
Absolutely not.
What I mean by that is, we didn't have the ability to flash freeze. We didn't have the ability to flash chill. And all these things help us with serving the people where they are. If somebody comes to us and says, I'm not able to come in for the next 3 days because I have doctor's appointments, we can freeze a meal and they can take it home if that's what works for them. I remember years ago people said, but they don't have a freezer that will take frozen. Well, guess what? Some people do have a freezer. And that's why I talk about it's not one size, if you will, fits all.
One thing that you said that I completely forgot about was the new technology that it brings to a kitchen. Flash freeze, which gives it a longer shelf life, and you can leave it in a refrigerator for a few more days. I mean, it just gives you options, but it also brings technology to our industry called older adult nutrition.
Absolutely. And it's something they well deserve, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Choice.
Absolutely.
It's really... And I have to commend your nutrition department because they really have looked at what is a healthy meal. The idea that they're just getting food isn't enough. It's, oh my God, they kill us with salt. It's like, oh my God, did you know there was salt and cinnamon? There's not, I'm kidding. But they look at the spices and hooray.
I didn't know that our nutritionists read the labels of the cans that are in your pantry. And they do that for, obviously, for all of the health, for the health and the nutritional standards. But when I first heard that, my reaction was like, what? We do what and why? I said, is that inefficient? And then they told me the concern about salt and sugar intake and carbohydrates. And then it made sense to me. But at first I thought, like, what are we doing? Are we like micromanaging to that point? And it really isn't. It is all about health. What I love about these nutritionists, and thank you for mentioning how you're appreciative of them, is that they also love the presentation. They don't want the food to be plated, and so that it has to be appetizing. They worry about the colors, the combination of food. And so it really is about respect for the older adult and respect for their palate as well as their eye.
Yeah. And that's the bottom line, is the respect. And in addition to all that is its teaching.
Yeah.
A lot of these folks didn't think about salt. I didn't really think about salt. Let me be one of those folks. It's really respect and it's teaching. And we've seen huge growth with our blood pressures and what have you, where the blood pressures really come down when you're really focusing on it. I remember when we first introduced salads, and I'm going to say maybe 5 people took it. Now about 30% take it every day. They'll take the salad option that we offer. People are much more conscious of their health.
And that's because of the imprinting that you've done. And that is with all of the nutritional education and making it appealing and all of the information. So, kudos to you for that. You have 30 years in this business, Bill. What milestones stand out the most for you?
I could go on and on because I think the first moment for me was the idea that just because somebody's 80, there's not one answer. That was a huge thing for me. The other thing is that, which I'm thrilled the departments recognize, is you don't count your success simply by food.
No, not at all.
And my gosh, what we recognized during COVID and isolation and loneliness, and you really realize people are coming for the food, yes, but it's so much more than that. It's the socialization. It's the friendship. It's not easy to walk in an adult center for the first time because here you are overwhelmed. You don't know anyone. But if you have an environment that's welcoming, I like to think of it as a hospitality environment. And if you promote that with your staff and, as importantly, with your participants, if you see a new face, be friendly. You want people to feel like, my second home.
Yeah. It's interesting you said that because one of our first meetings together when I just became commissioner, and we were talking at that time about changes we wanted to see. And you said, and I kept saying, like, how do we get the older adult's voice? And how do we get their opinion about what we do? And, everybody was telling me what the different forms that people can give us input. And one of the things that you said in that first meeting was we have to treat ourselves and our operation as a hospitality business. And they evaluate themselves the minute you leave that hotel or that restaurant, someone's asking you to rate them. And that stuck with me. And that has now permeated almost our thinking and the way we evaluate because it is hospitality. We're not just doing something for you. We are paying you back for this city that you built. And so we are your host, and in a spirit of gratitude and to treat you in that way, just like a hotel treats you as a treasured guest.
I love when you say it's not your grandmother's senior center because it's not. It's so much goes on.
Yeah, thank you for that. And the other thing is there's a recognition, and I think we've all embraced it, is that there's there's four cohorts in aging. I love when you say, if you're 80, so what? Why should we treat you any differently? Well, and we recognize that by 60 to 65, you have certain needs. By 75, you have other needs, except those of us who refuse to acknowledge that we're 75. And it is an incredible feat and yet quite an accomplishment when you can serve those cohorts with the same dignity and respect, but also to address their special and unique needs. Now you're doing home delivered meals for other programs. Tell me a little bit about Stanley Isaacs, how that evolved, and what that has experience has been.
Well, I mean, that is part of the great success of the commissary kitchen, is that we were able to make more meals, and we weren't limited by the number, and which, by the way, is huge right now in the food crisis people are going through. But I'll elaborate on that and really answer your question. The fact that we were able to say to Stanley Isaacs, we would like to serve the 10 blocks in our neighborhood that you're serving one right now, but we feel that we could do a different job. You've done well, but we have the capacity to make the meals and deliver to the homebound people in our community. What has that meant? We're able to do, in just that one program, 100 more meals a day. That's wonderful. We have a huge volunteer program. We're able to bring the volunteers into their homes as well. Last year, we had over 3,000 volunteers. We wouldn't have been able to have the reach if we weren't in control of the meal that we're delivering. So we're able to bring volunteers to them. We're able to serve that many more meals. And speaking of catering, I have to also say we have a center on Roosevelt Island.
Yes.
That we love. Only one caterer would deliver to that site. Our hands were tied with what they delivered. They did their best, but they're a for-profit. It's a very different mindset than a not-for-profit. We take the not-for-profit very serious. We do not-for-profit very well.
Yeah. And we also say, but we're not for loss.
We're not for loss, no. But we were able to take that contract and serve ourselves. And the quality of food has really changed. We've seen an increase in numbers of the folks in Roosevelt Island that come in every day for the meal. And we're also doing the home delivered meals on Roosevelt Island now.
You offer alternative options. What advice would you give to other providers about enhancing their menus and having options?
So this is one of my favorite topics.
Go ahead.
When we started, and I'm going to say it was probably 15 years ago, when we started with the salad, let's see how that goes, and saw how that took off after time. We serve 3 options a day. Again, with the idea of just because you're 80 and we said, let's try. And people have said, that must cost so much more money. And what we've realized is it doesn't. One of the options every day is a veggie burger, which several people take. Again, a big change over the years. And the other is we'll do a salad. And what that means is let's make believe we serve chicken on Tuesday. Whatever chicken's left over, on Thursday, we can make a chicken salad. So it does not cost more money. In fact, it saves money.
Right. It saves waste.
And you talked earlier about respect. Imagine when you go in, we serve restaurant style. Everyone's seated. It's not a line. I absolutely prefer that. I think it's much more gracious. But also imagine, what will you be having today? Would you like the main entree? Would you like a salad? Or would you like a veggie burger? What does that say to people? It says, we respect you.
And it also says, I have choice in the matter, just like I do in a restaurant.
Yeah. And how often would you go to a restaurant where they told you what you were eating? To all of the folks that are looking at aging and meal service, I really recommend exploring that. Look at the cost savings.
Right. And look that there are
And the dignities.
Right, the dignity.
Most of
And the
all.
fact is that obviously it doesn't have to be an additional cost. It's just about being creative and innovative. You know, food is such a connector for folks. I know we can't have any celebration in my house where your lips are moving.
So,
Not only talking, but you have to eat, right? With a little bit of drink.
it's like that.
But food is a connector. What do you think is of the dishes that you make? What is your favorite, Bill Dionne's favorite dish?
It's something that I didn't even know the name of before. But moussaka.
Oh, I love moussaka.
We have a great chef
Me too.
who oversees all of our kitchens, does a great job. Moussaka, and oh my God, it's delicious. That would be my favorite. But I love everything. And what is the favorite of each center is varies completely. Cavallo, which is in East Harlem, it's anything with pork. They're over the top thrilled. If it's the center on 74th Street, it's really something more like a chicken. They go. I used to do a workshop called "What Do You Do When It's Not Chicken Day," only to realize that only works in some of the centers.
We used to have a saying that people would travel around for Chicken Day, you know, in the different
And
centers.
as you bring up a huge change, I think, in the time that I've been doing all this wonderful work that I've loved. People used to feel that they owned the senior that was coming to their center. What do you mean you're going to blah blah blah? You're mine, which was such a wrong idea of how to serve. It has to be okay. Great, they're having chicken. We're not. Go. But that's been a huge change.
Yeah.
Do you have
I feel that, and I also feel that older adults are not feeling bad about it because I remember that they would almost be closeted visitors. You know,
that's the perfect expression? They were. Oh my God! I hope they don't see me coming out of Lenox Hill.
and it was sort of like, no, you have choice. You can go to there's 308 of them, and you could do that one day,
Yeah.
you know, for the entire year. And I think it's also because the network is really working together as a network, and we're all rowing towards the same thing, which is the value and the purpose for the older adult.
You bring us all together. So we recognize that we're not singular. We recognize we're not in this alone. It's a miserable job if it is. We've got to work together. And I do think that's broken down a lot of those barriers.
Because you are the partners. Like we can't NYC Aging can't do anything without you. As a matter of fact, we would be able to do nothing without you. And you know, it's the contract relationship is the most essential relationship. I see that very differently
I
than
know
other.
this isn't about, but it's the same thing with City Meals. As an example, City Meals is what we are. We're the kitchen. We're the staff. So if you really think of it, it's the same thing. We're partners.
Right. Now, you know what? I have to ask you about plant-based. So right. I remember going to a hearing and we would have a council member who I adore who would always tell me, they hate it, Lorraine. And I said, no, everybody does not hate it, Councilwoman. And she says, everybody hates plant-based. Talk a little bit about that transition and from your experience and from the older adults' experience that you've seen.
So I think initially,
Oh, yeah.
plant what? Plant what? I'm not going to come in here and eat my poinsettia. What we did. So it's certainly not our busiest day of the week. I would be lying if I said it was. But at the same time, I've seen it grow and grow and grow. It's a respectable number now. Let's also remember, I think we're supposed to do 120 meals a day in one of our sites. And we probably right now are doing 160 just because of this sense of food insecurity. Why I'm using those numbers is on plant-based, it's probably the 120.
Right.
But what we did that was really smart, again, my chef is amazing. We did a tasting and let them taste what the plant-based would be. And this is eggplant. Well, guess what? They love eggplant day.
Right.
So, you have to train. It's just like when I talk about salads and all those things.
It's a palate. You have to develop a palate. It's a palate.
Is it my favorite? It's not my favorite, but I've had many, many things that I've liked.
So looking ahead, my dear,
Yay.
what do you see as the next step for Carter Burden, and what do you see as the next step for Bill Dionne?
So I'm retiring.
Yay!
In June, and which will mean that will have worked for 35 years at Carter Burden.
Wow, Bill, that's quite an accomplishment. Good for you.
Oh, thank you, and I've loved every second of it. And I have to give a shout out to Carter Burden, the man, because Carter Burden was a city councilman on the Upper East Side.
Yeah.
Who had older folks coming to his office, many, and he thought, I've got to do something. All these people have questions and they're not getting them answered. And his whole quest was, when there's a gap in service, fill it. And we've had great commissioners over the years. We've had good commissioners. We've had great commissioners. We had an okay commission. You have been outstanding.
Thank you.
Janet Sainer would have been so proud of your work.
You got me.
She's never going to have me again.
No.
This is my last interview.
This is the highest compliment anyone could ever give me. So tell me, we have this lightning round of questions. What is the neighborhood that you would like to live in if you were aging in New York?
Anywhere in New York City. Anybody who moves out of New York City is crazy. This is the place to do it. New York, the whole of New York City. What could be better? And the idea that we're really focusing on an age-friendly city, hooray. I mean, and great strides have been made. There's still more to do, but the idea that you have many, many city departments looking at aging and what are the implications for aging. It's great. That will grow.
What gives you hope?
What gives me hope is that there is greater awareness of ageism. We certainly in our work, we see it all over the place. Mm-hmm. I loved seeing all the ads in the subway. I thought it was great, and I saw it many, many times. It's wonderful. It's being talked about. So it gives me hope that people are talking about it. I'm concerned that when you look at philanthropy, a shocking number, only 2% of philanthropy goes to aging.
I don't think you in the philanthropic sector want to be known for ignoring a particular segment of this city that is 20% of the city.
Yeah.
I want to thank you again for being with us, for being a partner, and for ensuring that we deliver excellent services in the Carter Burden Network. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for asking me to be here. I knew it would be fun. I was taking the subway down here. I wasn't nervous. I'm like, oh, good, an hour with Lorraine.
To our listeners, aging in New York isn't about growing older. It's about growing bolder. Together, we built a city with every generation. You can find Aging Out Loud anywhere you listen to your podcast. And if you want to learn more about NYC Aging, visit nyc.gov/aging. I'm your host, Lorraine Cortés-Vázquez. Until next time, keep aging out loud.